Hello and welcome to Club Fantasci. I'm your host, David Lowry, and joining us tonight is Roger from Today in Board Games and Kicksure. Thank you for joining us, Roger. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, David, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
All right, we're running a little bit late tonight, folks. I know if any of you were waiting to watch, I apologize. We just had a little bit of difficulty, and we're ready to go, so we'll get straight into it. Roger, why don't you give us a quick 2-minute spiel on what Kicksure is?
Sure. Well, Kicksure takes the risk out of pledging on Kickstarter. That's the idea. So there's a lot of risks when you go onto Kickstarter. You're placing your trust in the project creator that they're going to be able to produce a quality game, get it to you, on time, and they're not going to take your money and run. And so Kicksure is kind of a way to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for. And if for any reason at all something goes wrong with the process, or even you just have a change of heart, or you need your money for something else, you can use Kicksure to basically get your pledge back, even up till after the game's already been delivered to you. You have time to try it out. You decide that you don't like the game, or it wasn't production quality wasn't as good as you'd like, so you can even send the game back then and get a full refund. So.
Wow, sounds like a little insurance policy.
Kind of. It's almost like an extended warranty for your Kickstarter pledge. So.
What made you come up with this idea, and what was the process behind it?
Well, I actually used to sell insurance, and so that was kind of got me probably thinking that direction. But I hear a lot of people in the gaming community talk about the inherent risks of tying up your money on Kickstarter, hoping that this game's going to come out, and when you get it, that it's going to be worth it to you to have had your money tied up in that pledge for a year or however long it takes for the game to be delivered. So I realize that a pledge that hasn't been delivered on yet kind of has an inherent value similar to like a commodity on an exchange, and so that's where kind of where the idea came from. Is these pledges can be cashed back in before they're redeemed for the reward is the idea. So
That's pretty original for this community, that's for sure. How long did it take you from the thought process of, hey, this is a good idea, to actually getting it launched?
probably 4 or 5 months. I had the idea a while back, but I've been kind of sitting on it and thinking it through as to the best way to make it work. So as of right now, we've been live I think about a week or so, and gotten quite a bit of good response from it so far. So
I know that you've got some good Kickstarters on there right now. You've got The Agent's Return, you've got Snitch from Common Man Games, Yardmaster from Crash Games, Dragon Slayer, and the new Transylvania Curses and Traitors, which just came out, and Among the Stars. So you snagged some pretty good games on there. Is this a process that you go through with the publisher themselves to get them on there?
as of now, no. That's kind of the goal moving forward. But as of right now, those were just a few projects that we've started out with, and planning to add many more as time goes on. Actually, the launch happened before the automation's fully in place. So part of the reason you're not seeing more projects on the list is simply because we haven't got the automation finished yet. But I got a web developer working on it for me right now, and we should have that up and running soon. At which point, you should be able to get just about any solid Kickstarter project will be available on the list. So.
All right. So there is a membership fee to Kicksure. Will you explain that to the viewers?
Sure. Well, it's actually either or. So if you go on Kickstarter and you only pledge for a project on a rare occasion, probably the best way to use Kicksure is just to go and buy a specific pledge ticket that corresponds to the pledge you made on Kickstarter for that one specific project, and that's usually anywhere from about 10 to 15% of your pledge amount. So you pledge for a $50 game, you can expect to pay $5 to $7 to get the Kicksure pledge ticket that matches that pledge. If you're pledging for multiple projects on Kickstarter a month, if you're somebody that uses Kickstarter quite a bit, then the membership's probably a better deal for you, because the membership covers every pledge you make for board game related projects on Kickstarter throughout the entire month. And memberships are $19 a month, or you can save even more by doing an annual membership.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people that could use the membership subscription based on what I see online. Now, is it just you running Kicksure, or do you have any partners, or is there any other companies backing this with you?
Well, I'm kind of the main guy behind it. I do have I have a virtual assistant, Diana, who helps me out, and she kind of takes care of a lot of the behind the scenes details and does an excellent job of handling that. But it's my company, Integrity Technology, that actually owns and runs Kicksure, which is the same company that does Today in Board Games. So
Awesome. All right. So for those of you watching Kicksure, it's kicksure.com. You can go on there, and it's a really simple and clean and easy to read and understand website. See everything that's going on. Right now, if you do happen to be watching, you obviously can tweet us at Club Fantasci, and we will ask Roger Hicks any questions that we do have while we have him on the air. Let me see here. I know I just had a question. I just totally spaced it. What's the ultimate goal with Kicksure? I mean, what are you really trying to accomplish with this?
Well, one of the things I've been trying to do with Today in Board Games all along, and this kind of came out of that, was my goal is to be able to connect gamers to the games that they're going to love to play, and to be able to help publishers get their games into the hands of people that want to play them. So part of my thinking of creating Kicksure was that, the risks of Kickstarter are keeping people from pledging, and by making it a way to eliminate or reduce those risks, more people can pledge and get the games they want to get. And in the long run, my hope is that it helps the publisher and it helps the gamers get to enjoy the fun games in the game. So,
when you thought about this process, and you stated previously that you had seen some people worried about not backing, and recently there's been a case or two where board game companies have been taken to court by a district attorney somewhere.
Right.
How relevant do you think that this is compared to the actual need?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's been several higher profile Kickstarter projects within the last year or so that failed to deliver, where the project creator kind of vanished, and so that was part of the impetus behind it. As I saw these projects and people getting burned on losing their game and not realizing they're not going to get anything out of their pledge, and swearing off Kickstarter as a result. And I hate to see that happen, because Kickstarter has been such a huge bonus for the board gaming community. Just to have the chance for all these publishers to get their games out that would have never had the opportunity before, and gamers have this huge variety of new games that they can pick from, and so I think it's been a real great thing for the community. So I hate to see those dud projects take away from the community and kind of sour people to Kickstarter. So that was. I'm not sure if I answered your initial question very well or not, because I don't remember exactly what it was. But
yeah,
anyway.
I think you did. And one of the things that I've really noticed, and I've made a few comments on it on some of the Facebook groups that focus on these, Kickstarter programs or whatever, is if a game company doesn't deliver, or if they're behind, they're having issues or whatever, there's always some jackass, for lack of a better term, that's got to get in there and trash the company and say, they aren't delivering, they aren't doing this. Now, of course, this person doesn't really ever know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
A lot of this stuff is done with overseas companies, and because of the amount of Kickstarting going on right now, a lot of these companies are flooded with work. So if one project gets behind, they all get behind.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly.
I'm wondering if this does in a way that maybe we can stem the tide of some of that, vitriolic commentary that hits the social media.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know several big profile companies have had that problem recently. Tasty Minstrels running behind on delivering their Kickstarter projects. Game Salute, I know, has been the target of some vitriol, just from being behind on some things. And I know it's often production delays and stuff that are outside of the publisher's hands. So the idea is. If you've pledged for one of those projects and it's going to be 6 months behind and you're just finding that out, if you've got a Kicksure pledge ticket, then no problem. Just trade your pledge for something else, or get your money back and use it to buy a game on the store shelf or something. I mean, so that's that's kind of the goal, is to help with that as well. You know, if people aren't stuck anymore and their only recourse is to leave nasty comments on the Kickstarter page or on Board Game Geek, you know. So
How can the average person help Kicksure? What do you need for them to get the word out?
well, that's a good question. Obviously, you know, anybody sharing about Kicksure and kind of sharing how it works. One of the things that I've gotten a lot of good feedback on is Kicksure, the concept, trying to put it into words, just like kind of a board game rule book. When you're trying to put board game rules into words, it can be very difficult. So I've had quite a few people helping me with just fixing the wording on the site to make it read a little better, make it more understandable, because it is a somewhat complex concept. But I mean, it's very simple to know how it works, but all the little details take a bit to describe, and so I want to make sure it's real easy and plain for people to understand, you know, how Kicksure works, and that it's gonna help them whatever the situation is. So,
Where do you see Kicksure in the next 6 months to a year?
well, I would hope that people would be enjoying, you know, being able to trade their pledges or get refunds on their pledges quite a bit. I'd like to see, you know, good usage on it. One of the things I'd like to do going forward with Kicksure is partner with publishers, project creators on Kickstarter, and I'd like to kind of offer Kicksure from a publisher perspective. If you're a new, you know, a new game publisher, this is your very first game, you're coming to Kickstarter, you're kind of an unknown quantity, and because nobody knows who you are, it's tougher to get backers. You know, anybody that's coming to Kickstarter for the first time is going to have a harder time collecting backers than somebody who's already been established and everybody knows their name. So I'd like to be able to offer Kicksure to the publisher as well, as a way for them to you know, automatically gain some trust with their backers, knowing that Kicksure is standing behind their project. So.
Absolutely. Do you see this becoming a mainstay? I mean, do you really think it's that huge that this thing becomes just as talked about as Kickstarter itself?
Well, that'd be nice, certainly. Obviously, you know, so there are other peripheral websites that have grown up around Kickstarter. You know, KickTrack being one that's, you know, everybody uses KickTrack to find out information about projects now, and so I could definitely see it being a useful thing going forward. Yeah, it'd sure be great if that happened, but you know, I'm happy with whatever happens. So.
I mean, this is a pretty bold movement, and I'd say it's even ahead of the game a little bit, because, you know, even though Kickstarter's been around a while, the whole board game movement is still young. It's very new.
Right.
So this is a pretty big step in that direction of or, you know, just being ahead of the game, really. Let's talk a little bit about today in board games. What is that exactly for those who aren't familiar?
Well, Today in Board Games started out last July, I think it was, as a kind of a wrap-up daily newsletter. It was capturing all the, and I'll tell you kind of where it started from. Is I was trying to do some research on board game design, and so I went out and subscribed to about 30 different game design blogs, and you know, got all their RSS feeds in my Feedly reader, and so I was reading these blogs every day, and I started putting together on my old website, Game Designer Chronicles, I started putting together a kind of a top 5 game design article list for the week, and people were really enjoying that. That was kind of one thing I got the best response to, and so I realized, you know, it'd be nice for people to have a place where they could go find quickly everything new that's happened in the gaming world, all the new reviews, all the new articles, you know, what new Kickstarter projects have just popped up, and so that's kind of where Today in Board Games came from. It's as of right now, it's a 3 times a week newsletter that's published either through email, you can get it, or you can get it on our blog, or we even have it on Board Game Geek in the blog section there. And it's just a summary of all the links to all the articles, to the reviews, the Kickstarter projects, top news stories that have happened. It's kind of a quick way. The tagline is the best in board games in 5 minutes or less. So the idea is you can glance through it, see the things you're interested in, and click through and read those. So.
What's the decision process for what gets put in that newsletter?
Well, I'm pretty broad as to what I include. Mostly anything that's going to have a fairly wide appeal to a number of readers gets included. So if you've got a gaming blog or website or video channel and you'd like to have your content included in Today in Board Games, I'll pretty much happily include most everything you produce as long as it's something that's going to appeal to most everybody. So if you got something that's really niche where you're just talking about, for instance, a game that you're designing, then I don't always include those things. Or so there's a few things that I don't include, but I do curate out some stuff. But if it's something that's going to have a broad appeal, I put it in there. So
now, who's this targeting? I mean, where's this going to?
Well, as of right now, each newsletter reaches, it's tough to get exact statistics, but it's about 2,500 gamers all over the world, primarily in the U.S., and admittedly, a lot of the content's focused toward the U.S., but we do have an international audience as well, and so, yeah.
I mean, that's all right. I mean, that's a pretty good base, especially for some of the newer reviewers that are out there who are trying to get their content to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I encourage, if you're starting a review website or something, send me an email. I'll gladly include your content in the review section, and yeah, it can be a great way. I mean, you're not going to get a huge amount of traffic because I mean you're on a list there with everybody else, so you have to understand there's probably 30 to 40 game reviews released in each issue, which is every couple of days basically. So 20, 25 game reviews that are included in every day. And so you can be on a list with everybody else, but you're going to get some traffic through there, and people can discover your website from there. And then, if they like what they read, they'll come back. So. Right.
Well, people can never complain about free press anyway. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing that you're doing, and it doesn't cost any money.
Yeah, exactly. Just go to todayinboardgames.com, and you can click right there to sign up for the newsletter. Email is probably the easiest way to get it. You'll get it quickest that way because the email goes out first thing in the morning usually, and then the the blog and the Board Game Geek mirror come up later in the day. So
now with Today in Board Games, you also spotlight it so that there's a headline featuring whatever feature story it is that week, which publishers or designers or reviewers or whatever, they can actually purchase that spot.
Yeah, correct. We have a feature spot. I do a lot of advertising for Kickstarter campaigns. So if you got a Kickstarter campaign, you like to get a little bit extra exposure. I'd like to think we could do a good job of helping you get that. I don't accept everybody because I do try to keep things family friendly. So I've had to turn a few people down for that reason. And honestly, there's been a couple times where I said, "Hey, I'm not sure I can help you with this project," but yeah, usually I'm happy to include your project there if you've got a Kickstarter project, and it gets a good number of click-throughs, so you can get some good exposure there. And for the people reading the newsletter, you get to find out a little more details about one of the cool projects that's on Kickstarter or a new game that a publisher's coming out with or something. So.
All right, Roger. So let's delve into you a little bit here, and not so much
Sure.
the companies. What got you started in board games?
Ooh, what got me started in board games? Well, I've been a gamer for a long time. I designed really horrible board games for my friends and family to play as a child, and made them suffer for countless hours. I've always kind of enjoyed board games, so that's always been something real appealing to me. And I've throughout the years I've been big into customizable card games in the late 90s and early 2000s. I played Star Trek and Star Wars and Magic. I was almost pro in Magic, which isn't saying much, and for a while there. So I ran various gaming websites and stuff throughout the years, but just recently, as of last summer or last spring, I wanted to kind of get more involved in the board gaming community specifically. And so that's kind of where Today in Board Games came from, and so I'm trying to do what I can to give back to the hobby. So,
if you could pick, and I asked this question to Miles Ratcliffe from Chaos Publishing earlier tonight, if
right.
you could pick one game that you wished you designed, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to look behind me on my shelf here.
No cheating.
I guess it would probably have to be, and this may be a cop-out answer, but Magic the Gathering. I was always creating kind of customizable card games before that was a thing. I'd sit down with my baseball cards, or I would draw little tanks on cards and cut them out of pieces of paper and play with them on the card. But so when I customizable card games first hit the market, the whole Magic craze happened, and all the games that followed it. That was uh, uh, that kind of carried me away. I was excited about that, so that's kind of been always my game I really enjoyed, and if I had to pick, that'd be it. Plus, I'm sure the royalties aren't bad on Magic, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that one or Catan, man.
Right.
Where do you see yourself in the gaming industry in 5 years? Are you sticking with Kicksure? Are you going to try to become a designer yourself? What do you see yourself really doing?
Well, my goal would be one thing I like doing is finding problems and solving them. So that was kind of where Kicksure came from. I've got some other things in the works in that aspect. I'm working on offering some services to publishing companies to kind of help small publishers be able to have some of the reach that large publishers have without having to hire staff of 3 or 4 employees or whatever to travel to conventions and things. So that's another thing I've got in the works, and so that's one aspect, is I really just enjoy and seeing, looking at the industry as a whole and seeing, okay, where's the problem spots and what can be done to solve those. And as far as design goes, I've got a few designs I'm working on. I don't know if I'll ever be, a famous designer or anything, but I enjoy it as kind of a hobby, but still designing games and stuff. So.
Is there any conventions you're going to be going to present Kicksure out there, or are you going to be doing this mainly social media-wise?
Well, it will be pushing through social media. I do try to attend conventions, not in official capacity. I do not have, a booth or anything at any upcoming conventions, but I do plan to be. Should be at Gen Con this year. I'll be at Dice Tower Con. Plan to be at Board Game Geek Con, and Conclave of Gamers, which is a smaller convention in Denver, Colorado. So those are the ones I have on the schedule at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. You are a Colorado boy, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct. You've talked to Carl here, Carl and I get together in Denver at the conventions over there. So.
Right. I used to live there in Colorado Springs for about 8 years.
Oh, okay.
Not anymore, but I did at one point. I wish I could move back. All right, so let's recap real quick a little bit. One last plug for Kicksure. Why should people purchase it?
Well, again, if you're worried at all about $50 for a game or $60, whatever the pledge is, I'm worried about okay, I'm put this money in now and I may not see this game for a year or more. And so you have that peace of mind. It's not going to cost you much. And again, if you're somebody who pledges a lot on Kickstarter, check out those memberships, because it can be a great way for a little bit of money, you can have peace of mind on all your pledges. Our tagline for Kicksure is "Pledge without regrets." So
that's good. Kicksure.com. They can always go to todayinboardgames.com and also find information about it, plus all the other great links that you have there. Your Today in Board Games goes out 3 times a week. People can email you. How do they get a hold of you?
Email. You can email me at it's pidgepot@gmail.com. I know that's well, it will include it somewhere, a link to it, but you can find it on the Today in Board Games website. Twitter. My handle for both Twitter and Board Game Geek is BobTHJ. That's a long story, but it's BOBTHJ. And you can also find me on Facebook and Google+, and you can find Today in Board Games all those places too. They got pages, and so.
So just Google it and you'll find it. Is there anything else that you want to leave the people with that they should be checking out?
Well, I want to plug really quick the Club Fantasize the club, which we've just started up, and I'm really excited about that. That's we've got. What is it, 10, 11 members now, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And so that's really exciting. I like the idea behind that. And anybody that's publisher or reviewer, you've got any involvement at all in the board gaming industry, check out the club, because I think this is going to be a really good thing. So
I appreciate that. Quick pick, putting you on the spot. What's the Kickstarter everybody should look at?
The Kickstarter everybody should look at. Well, I'll give a plug for Carl Fenner's Common Man Games, the Snitch project. I've had the chance to play that game. I've actually played an old version of it before it was rethemed to Snitch, but the gameplay is essentially the same, and it's definitely a fun game to play. So Carl's doing good things over there. Everybody go check out the Snitch Kickstarter project. So.
All right, everybody, that's Snitch on Kickstarter, or you can go to commonman.com and find it there, or you can go to either one of our websites and find the links for it itself. Roger Hicks, I thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I know this is a late one, and you rushed home to be with us, so I appreciate it.
Well, hey, thanks, David, and I'm sorry it was my fault that things were delayed here, but I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. So.
Hey, we're easy here. We're easy. All right, everybody. Kicksure.com. todayinboardgames.com. You can check us out at clubfantasci.com. Obviously, we're on Facebook and Twitter at Club Fantasci on each one of those. Just Google us and you'll find us. Again, thanks, Roger. We appreciate it. Stay in touch, folks. We're tuning out for now. Talk to you next time.